Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Blue?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Mancini?
Here.
Mr. Marraro? Mr. Pop?
Here. I make motion we excuse Mr. Moraro.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have any questions or additions or anything to that agenda? If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Support.
Kramer, Pop?
Yep.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 5th, 2023.
I make motion we approve minutes for the meeting of April 5th, 2023.
Support.
Is that Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Closed session minutes for March 15th, 2023.
I make motion we approve the closed session of March 15th, 2023.
Support.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Approval of manifest 2023-08 in the amount, I usually don't say that amount. Scott, did you have any questions?
I don't have anything.
Brett?
I have none, thank you.
None.
I have none. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve manifest 2023-08 in the amount of $337,614.73.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Public comment, anyone in attendance wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so at the podium. Anything on the agenda item? We have nobody here, so we'll move on to action items. Item number 1, property lease addendum.
So, most of you are probably aware with some of our cable equipment, equipment for our over-the-air reading AMIs on George Servia's property that abuts to our property up on the hill. We've had a lease with them, I think I saw from 2000. He came in asking about it. I wasn't aware of the lease.
Yeah, I was here when we did the
So
last
it had
lease.
expired and he didn't get paid and was wondering why. So we worked with him, we went ahead and made him whole, and this is the extension of his lease for 1 year. It seems to have been on a 5-year term. However, he's looking to maybe not do a long-term lease, but to sell the 2.75 or so acres that our
And that would
equipment
be,
is on.
that would be good.
So
Tried to sell?
it sounds like we did at one time, quite a long time ago, when Doc Hayes, I think, might have been mayor. So basically, this addendum to extending the lease 1 year basically says that we will be working with him over the next year to try to figure out a deal of how to just acquire that acres that the equipment's on.
Are there any questions? If not, I have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the addendum to the lease as presented.
Support.
Mr. Mancini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
We'll move on to CDL policy.
So this is I wasn't too familiar with this till recently, but it looks like maybe in '22, the federal government changed the regulations regarding commercial driver license, and it's a level of training required to receive it. It used to be, for those of you who have CDL, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but the cost wasn't much, $1,500 to take an exam, and we would reimburse the employee for those costs as a requirement of the job you needed the CDL. So now you have to go to a 40-hour class and take the exam there, and driving and all of that, and those costs we have found to range somewhere between that $3,000 or $4,000. So the question kind of is that a fair amount of money to require a new employee to pay up front to then have us reimburse that? To me, that seems to be asking a bit much for an employee who may not have that kind of cash laying around, and ask that person to get some sort of personal loan to be employed with us seems like a bit much of an ask. So this is sort of that cost of doing business. So I've worked with Rick, and Rick would have been here tonight, but he was involved in an accident working over the weekend, and so he's at home, but doing well. We didn't want to just pay this kind of money for a new employee to get a CDL and have no level of commitment with the city. So we pay a RICO, or we give RICO money, he gets a CDL, works, doesn't like it, goes to another place, and that place has got a new person with a brand new CDL. So we were looking at keeping this employee here for some amount of time. What we kind of came up with was a per monthly earned credit until they reach the cost of their class being repaid. And if they leave before that time, they would have to reimburse us the cost, the remaining balance of what we paid for them to get the class. So if you look at a rate of, say, if it's a $3,500 class and we look at it at $150 per month credit, so Rico, again, takes the class, we spend $3,500. Every month he works for the city, we deduct a credit of $150 working towards that. If he works 2 years and he quits, he's paid his due and all set. If he leaves in 10 months, we calculate that $150 with the remaining balance, and he would be required to reimburse us those costs, which we would likely take first from their last paycheck and vacation and sick
I
earned.
like that idea when I read it.
Because realistically, if Rico decides to quit and doesn't want to pay us, what level are we going to go to recoup that money? So we would try to deduct it first. So that's kind of where we at. I've again worked with the union on this. Everyone seems to have agreed that this is a good direction to go, the commitment and repayment and all of that.
Are there any questions? If not, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the new CDL policy as presented, in which the city will pay for obtaining the license and establish a credit repayment agreement with the employee, requiring a commitment to the city as repayment for the costs.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Item number 3, sewer credit.
So we're back. Obviously, you guys are all well aware of where we were with this and where we're kind of at today. So in here I have, if council would like to reinstate this policy again, we think we can do it with a little more oversight, essentially trying to eliminate those who might want the credit that have no business getting it, apartments, commercial, things like that. So we're limiting it to single family and a purpose of why, lawn, garden, and then we would try to take that next step to verify that one of those exists. We talked about adding a second meter, and Brock is here to obviously discuss, but when I looked at the second meter, we thought, is it worth the time? We could sell them or rent someone a meter, we could install the meter. The issue kind of became, so if you put in a second meter and it runs to the regular meter and then through the second meter, we'd have to manually read that second meter, and then we would have to deduct the water from the second meter, and we had to manually enter the credit. And if we did it separate, so we made them plumb it in to an outside meter, then we'd have to manually read and then add the water part of it. So then we have to do manual adjustments to account for the water costs, not the sewer costs. You know, talking to staff, you know, you get 25, 30 people, okay. You get 300 like we had, that's gonna take some time to do a lot of manual entries. So the question is I don't know where that cost benefit is to the time it may take to do all the manual entries. Now if we rent these meters, say the meter's $115, we rent it for $50 a season to each person, there might be an ROI there and might make up for it. But it was really looking at what is the simplest way to re-implement if we do. So we could do the meter component, it just may be a little more cumbersome and time consuming. A couple other ways to look at if you wanted to reinstate it was if we just put a gallon credit number. You get the policy, you verify where you live, verify your reason, and it's not based on your average, you just get 5,000 gallon credit for sewer. That way, we're trying to preach a little water conservation. We're not, you know, letting someone dump 20,000 gallons of water on a garden where maybe it only needs 5. You know, we've done a little research on what it takes to maintain a lawn or a garden. So we give them a break. It's sort of meet in the middle. We give them a break, but it's not just a free-for-all of water use. It's again, a little more conservation. So those are just some ideas of how to reinstate it. Of course, if we don't reinstate it, we did receive an additional $21,000 during the summer, which, you know, helps our department in that way. So just kind of looking for some direction from council and I did add in this application about requiring an AMI meter being replaced if you don't already have one to get the credit, as we discussed at the last meeting.
My opinion about the meters, we can't get the other ones in, so why are we gonna try and get them?
Well,
This
that
would be
would,
an outside
Yeah.
hose bin attached meter that we would install.
yep.
We still haven't had meters put in them. I mean, we've been sitting for 7 years and we still have, so my idea of meters, I don't think that.
Yeah, and wastewater would be the ones doing the outside meters, but yeah, there is an additional component,
It's not an
especially.
AMI, it's just a total different.
Yeah, it's just a regular, cheaper manual. So we would install it, we'd have to uninstall it, and we would have to manually read it. So there would be an extra, again, 25, 30, not a big deal. You get to the 300 if we do.
Yeah.
It could become a bit, but
It was an option.
it's another option. Yep. You know, I think somewhere in the middle of coming up with a gallon amount as a credit may be a good alternative. I'm not sure where that would be a much benefit to us on a financial side. We may not lose as much, but we would then be kind of that preaching of a little more water conservation.
Along with meeting all these requirements.
Correct. Yeah. And these aren't, you know, perfect, right? Single family home, check. Garden, we check. You have a garden, you have a lawn. You know, but we kind of know if the general lawn size here of open area isn't a lot. You know, we can kind of figure on average how much water it takes to keep that lawn in good condition, depending on, of course,
Yeah.
you know, you're at after droughts or wet season. But we also don't want to spend, you know, we don't want to measure every garden, every
Yeah.
lawn. And, you know,
Right.
it would have to be just a number. Everyone gets
Yeah.
a
To-
4,000 credit that applies.
To me, my voting to suspend the sewer credit policy for last year, it was twofold. It was, one, abuse of
Yep.
the rules or lack of rules, or taking advantage of the lack of rules. And two was getting our prices in check.
Right.
You know, I think what you're talking about is a pretty fair understanding of both of my concerns, getting them back under control somewhat,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, you know, in this time, I mean, we talk about it multiple times a meeting, money, 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 money. So when I see $22,000, it's hard to say, well, we don't need that anymore.
And I will say, you know, during that time, You know, the complaints we received were the few right here. We did not receive any others outside of this meeting. We had, our water use during this time did not change. More water was used. Now, again, there's a lot of reasons why that may or may not happen.
Right.
But there wasn't a bunch of conservation going on because people didn't get the credit.
I can tell you what we treated in 2021 with the credit, 23 million gallons in those 3 months. Last year, we treated 26 million.
Yeah.
There
So,
was a little bit more rain, but not enough for that gallonage. So people are still using this, and they're paying for it, and we're treating it. So that's all I'm concerned about now, is it treated, not the versus sold versus pumped. What I see comes in is still there, no matter if that credit was there or not. They're paying for it, they're not arguing about it, only a few that are abusing it or overusing, not conserving.
yeah, we didn't have much, again, the pushback you saw was from those very specific few users that do use a lot on those gardens, and that, this is kind of that, if we reinstate it, maybe there's a level of conserving of water. We are a riparian state.
Well, it definitely can't be like before.
What's that?
I said we can't do what we did before.
Yeah, I mean, this tries to kind
No.
of solve, you know, and we have, the reason why I even include other, and before this one, I actually had single-family, multifamily, duplex, even though I knew those weren't gonna be allowed, it was kind of curious of how many were actually coming in that wouldn't have qualified. So if you select other and tell me why, and you say I live in an apartment, it's a no, but I'm starting to collect data, how many potentially we had throughout the years that got it that wouldn't have qualified. Just as a data point. Because I don't know how much, like, you know, call fraud we had during this program. We could have had 300 legitimate gardens and lawns using it. We don't really know.
Or do you go with the meter thing because somebody who is serious about it puts the meter in, and if the rest don't wanna, you know, pay the rent of the meter and
Yeah.
that, maybe we wouldn't get as many? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the meter thing, we could, let's say we could give that a try. These meters, again, they're about,
But like, we ain't got all the other meters in, but you're saying these are,
I mean, they're outside, so it would be, now if we didn't have them plumbing new lines, again, it would be going through both. So we would have to just deduct the.
that's so hard, then all the girls in the office gotta do all that.
Well, that's what I mean, so, you
It
know,
It's just an option.
it's just an
No,
option.
I understand that,
But
but I'm
we
just trying
certainly
to.
could try it, but yeah, you get into that 100 plus, yeah, that's gonna become some work, you know, but it could be done.
Well, I think that just even with somebody filling this sheet out and doing a small little follow-up, you will deter a lot
Yeah.
of.
Because we're gonna come to your house.
Right, you're gonna deter a lot of people from even applying for the
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah,
And-
and I think it's it's definitely a shift in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the biggest concerns, then we can kind of fine tune for those outliers, maybe, you know, the people with the 4,000 square foot gardens and, you know, that kind of stuff.
I mean, like I said, last year we suspended it. Again, that gave us a data point, a baseline of what's going on. If we implement something like this, that's another summer of a data point, a baseline. You know, how has this effort changed from, you know, so it'll give us more information as we go. And we can adjust again if we find that this isn't working for whatever reason.
When do you feel we need to have this finalized by?
If you want to reinstate it and there's nothing here that you think should change, I would motion probably tonight to reinstate. Trish, do you know when we actually start doing the?
June is usually June, July.
June 1, yeah. There's never, one thing I would recommend is to put a deadline on this of a certain date, so
Yeah.
people aren't walking in.
Right.
June 2nd,
Yep.
June 5th, August 30th.
Yeah,
Right.
we did talk about that too, yeah, correct.
That way they can miss the window, sorry. And I would also like to see a cap on it. That's just my opinion, because
Cap of gallons, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes, I think you're right. That's what I was just
2,000
gonna
a
ask.
month, I mean, I think it's fair for starters. And then we'll, you know, if we have to tweak it next year, but just signing up for this, we're still gonna have people using 15,000, 20,000 a month.
And I mean, we gotta get it out there so people know.
Yeah, I mean.
You have to be signed up before June 1st.
Yeah.
There will be no
Actually, probably
exceptions.
before that even,
But
because,
whenever, for billing purposes,
Yeah.
whatever they do.
Right.
you know, it's probably like May. sometime in May.
Second or third week in May.
Right. And just as we're talking about May, the next council meeting, since we switched to Mondays, is a quick turnaround. So May 1st, council packets will go out to you guys next week for the next meeting. Just FYI, May's an early week.
And we're back to 7, right?
And we're back to 7, but
I know.
I would like to see some changes, caps and everything before we actually vote on it.
okay.
And now that we're talking more about it, I mean, it'll give you at least a week to think about it a little bit more, and maybe we forgot something, or we're not considering
Yep.
something.
So we'll,
Can we vote on that we will have a date that this is gonna be in by? Because if we wait until the next one, they're only gonna have a week to get it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like. can we-
well, I can have it to you we can have this again for the May 1st meeting.
By the time that gets out to the paper and everything else, you're looking
It's-
at that Wednesday, so the following week is the week that you want the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I would say.
Don't you want something in your newsletter?
I was just gonna
Yeah, it's
say,
Yeah.
gotta go in that
So,
newsletter.
you know,
When
I
does that
think-
go out?
that's next week.
So this, I'd say for this summer, we'll put a deadline on it, but it'll probably change next time
But
we
when we
go
reach July
around.
is when we get June's data. so
Yeah,
we
we're a
actually
month
have
behind.
little bit of time.
Yeah,
We're a
we can
month
get it in
behind.
the newsletter. We can do the newsletter the first week of May.
Oh, you can do it the
Yeah.
first week of May, so after we vote,
May, because your meeting is
or
May.
after we have our next meeting?
Okay, so,
May 1st, yeah.
so just so when I rework this, it comes to you guys as prepared as possible. So we want on here, an actual deadline for signing up. You want to, so if we want to do a gallon amount, so what I did, if you look at the bottom of that, did you know? And this is just stuff I pulled off online, and I'll get a little better research on it, but I was trying to, in the idea of conservation, figure out what professionals think amount of water you would need for a lawn or a garden, and I'll verify this because this will kind of help our cap amount. You know, I had, 0.13 acre, 6,000 gallons, seems like a lot of water per month to maintain that. And then a 20 square foot garden, about 450 gallons a month for that size of a garden. So what we'll do is we'll kind of go again and.
Can we cap it at like 1,000 gallons?
Whatever your pleasure is.
Yeah, it's just, I'm trying to look at like a lawn and a garden, kind of find out what the average amount of water is needed to maintain those and try to use that as
Because
sort
we
of a
can
baseline.
change it, you know what I mean, but maybe this year just cap it at 1,000, because it got no credit last year.
Do you have any data, Brock, at all? Like what they would generally consume? Do you have anything like that?
On a per homeowner basis, you mean?
Yeah.
I could probably work with Lisa to get some of that.
I mean, I
I
think
looked
that
at a few
would,
people that I know that are legit, and it's like 1 to
Right.
2,000 they might use when it's raining out, they've got the
Right.
rain barrels.
I mean, we could take,
2,000 is 70 gallons a day.
and we
That's
could
a
take
lot
every,
For a garden.
we could take almost every person who got the credit last time or a sample size and pull their accounts and average their use during the summer compared to the odd.
And is that
then-
gonna screw up though the billing, Tricia, when they do that billing?
That's a good question.
That's gotta be asked, because
With a gallon credit amount?
Because with that system, you can't just do whatever you want on that system. We all learn that the hard way.
We'll have to discuss that. Yeah, we'll have to look into how easy it is or not to kind of make an adjustment or credit those.
So I think we've got the gist of it, that we like those proposed changes. We'd like to see a hard sign up date by, and then for what mechanism of a gallon's limit?
Yeah,
Is that feasible?
I'll try to come up with a few different gallon amounts
Yeah.
based on some data, and if we can't come up with any of that,
Yeah, I've heard Brock say the 2,000, range.
yeah.
So, and however that's gonna equate to something that can actually be entered into the billing.
Right.
Whatever that mechanism is.
So deadline, kind of come up with a
Yeah.
potential gallon amount. Is there anything else on here that you guys would want to see?
I like this little educational
Yeah.
part. Surprise, surprise, hey, the guy who works at a school. just letting people know, hey, you don't need 10,000 gallons of water,
And I'm gonna, I'll verify these numbers to make sure, we get as close as we can to what we.
Yeah.
Of course, again, conditions, wet season, obviously, you don't need much dry season, but even, again, real dry season, do we want to say, oh, you should have a green lawn, use more and more water? It's dry because it's drought and we shouldn't be, like it's, so.
And I mean, if you want a garden, you still have to pay to keep up a garden.
Yeah, well, and there's rain barrels, there's other things we can talk about promoting. So,
I like
even like rain barrel, did you know, we could put something down there about alternatives to watering, rain barrels and, different things like that. So if it's just those few changes, we'll look at that and bring that at the next meeting, assuming that you're, okay with this current process of property classification, intended use, AMI if you don't have one.
Yeah, I think those 6 points are pretty adequate there.
Okay.
Any other questions on that, or we'll move on? All right, we'll move on to item number 4, WWTP purchase sludge press new replacement belts.
Brock, I'll let you just kind of, you have 2 requests back to back. I'll kind of let you take the topic on that.
All right, this is more or less a routine maintenance item. The belts we have on our currently are, I think I have on here, 12 years old, or since 2012. Manufacturer recommends we change them every 5 years, so they're severely out of their life, but they're still producing. There's a few worn spots on there, so we have to have these to replace when this one goes, which could be at any time. And then in the future, I'm gonna have a set of these on hand, so every now and then, every 5 years I'll have, yes.
What exactly is a sludge press?
All right,
You
so.
need
it's
to take
like-
a tour, Rico.
I know,
Oh, remember last
he
time you were
invited
supposed to come down there?
he invited me years ago.
I've been down there.
So we pump sludge across this, it's like a paper machine belt, if you're familiar with that, where the gravity's out the water, the sludge goes through, it squeezes it out into a cake is what they call it,
Okay.
and that's the final product. So that belt is porous material.
Okay.
Over a lifespan of that belt, from washing it, wearing it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger pores, we lose more solids, they go back to the head of the plant.
Okay.
B, if that press fails, we have no other option. I mean, if the belt were to fail, we can't just get one. We have to go, it's not just at True Value. We have to have someone come, take the liquid out of there. It's an expensive deal. So this is kind of erring on the side of caution to have these on hand. And in the future, put them on before they break, and then have it as a routine every 3 to 5.
Gotcha.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
be back in 3 years for the same thing.
Thanks.
Any other questions on that? If not, do I have a motion?
Where we at?
Item number 4.
Yeah, Brock's got he's recommending the amount of 1,872, plus freight of 200 from Micro Onyx is his recommendation on his memo, that last sentence there.
All right.
That can be your.
Good job getting 3 bids. I know it's not easy to do that.
And these are the belts that we have under now. They're over half price of the
So
originals.
your full amount on there is $2,030.40. So I was trying to figure that out.
It's on the,
That's what I got on that bid. 'Cause it didn't really make sense how it was written up.
say that again, Candy?
Yeah, that's what I just said. But, I think on the motion it said 1872.
Well, then 200 for freight.
And just keep in mind that every so
That still
often, the
doesn't
quotes
add
that
up,
we
though.
do. So the first time I got the quote, we weren't able to get it on the agenda. Second time, I had to get a new quote. So this could give or take, but it's not gonna be enough, and not to exceed might not happen because every 10 days they refresh these quotes. But I don't see it doubling. I could see it going up maybe $200. But
Would
that's
you
the
want
problem
them
with
to
like
kind of-
having this stuff tabled for a while.
Would you like them to maybe approve like a $2,200?
Freight, yeah.
Yeah, because that didn't make sense to me when I was doing, because 200 plus that wasn't that amount
I didn't
either.
update my
But Huh?
memo.
Yeah.
They updated the quote. That's why it didn't make sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
I got you. I'll make a motion to approve, for the council to approve the quote from Microtronics, an amount not to exceed $2,200 for the purchase of slush press replacement belts.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes?
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Go ahead, Brock. Item number 5, WWTP Purchase Lift Station Service Agreement Renewal.
All right, so this will be the second round of our 3-year contracts with the manufacturer of our pumps at our lift stations, Flight manufacturer. It's a 3-year contract. It's, okay, take that back. You can do a year-by-year contract, but it's more reasonable to do a 3-year. That's what we're getting out of the 3-year, we'll be entering into a 3-year contract. Once a year, they come up, they change the oil, and inspect all of our lift stations pumps from the motor control panel right down to the physical pump themselves, take them out, change the oil, check the impellers for wear, all that good stuff. We have, I just put on here, we get 25% off parts if we need it because of this. And my recommendation is to go with option 2 for a 3-year contract of $37.05 a year. And I believe I have budgeted $4,300. And the reason I can't get 3 quotes is because it's from the manufacturer.
Yeah, I understand. And thanks for, telling us that
It
too.
helps a lot having these guys do it because we can do this stuff, but we don't have all the parts they have on their truck. They come up with a service truck, and we can't afford to stock every part in case a gasket or something tears. So they come up, they've got it all, they're out here in a day. That's 10 pumps that they get serviced. It's been working out good. This will be the second round of it.
Any questions? If not, do I have a motion?
I recommend that city council approve option 2 of the maintenance agreement for a 3-year period at a cost of $3,705 per year.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes. Item number 6, city property for sale. Dan?
So we've discussed this a couple times. We had Stevens Realty representing our properties for quite some time. That expired and we have been discussing relisting with him. We discussed, Oakcrest as kind of me wanting to have that as a separate topic with you guys so I can kind of understand where everyone's at with that. It sounded like you guys wanted Ryan to probably be here to go over his ideas for property and how to go about it, which he was willing to do. And then I got a phone call from another realtor interested in city property and interested in being our listing agent. I kind of thought, is it time to just put this back out there to receive requests for people to start looking at our properties? That way we can kind of start fresh of what our expectations are and all that. So that's my ask to you. And I have 2 recommendations if you want. One, we relist an RFP to sell our properties, which if we go that route, I'll pull up what we did last time, look at, I'll probably bring it to you guys then for approval to make sure that it gets the appropriate direction to potential listers.
Did we sign a contract though with him?
With Ryan? No.
Yes.
Well, we had one, there's nothing right now.
Okay, all right.
Yep, we had been working on it.
Just wanted to make sure.
And I told him about this, I said, we're gonna bring it to council to relist an RFP for anybody to see. Or if you want to relist with Stevens, we can do that as well, and Ryan will come here and discuss that, but it's probably time to,
Yeah, I don't,
it's good practice to.
yes, it is.
I agree. A little bit of competition.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we issue an RFP for real estate services.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Item number 7, pole attachment agreement.
So, what this is, and I'm not sure how familiar you guys are or not, so, right now, I believe this is the first pole attachment we've done in some time with this new type of agreement. So this is for Highline, that's the broadband company that's coming in around us.
Last
And-
one we did was AT&T, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Okay.
But this standard pole attachment agreement, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen this before, but this comes from MMEA and the state. This is kind of the standard agreement for pole attachment. Basically, what it does, it lays out what is the expectation for the owners of the pole, us, the utility, the lessees that would be attaching, kind of lays out, you know, who's responsible for make-ready of poles, the process to inform people if you need to have their equipment come down, and this is just a very basic agreement. This one specifically is between us and Highline. The fee for that, if you'll turn to the very back, years ago, we hired a engineering firm to help us do the calculations for per pole attachment. Again, regulated, we can't just charge whatever we would like. Based on these calculations in CPI, we came with $8.58 per pole, and that adjusts for CPI each year. My understanding, there's not much to do. This doesn't, you know, council agreeing to this agreement doesn't just say now Highline can go start. What this says is they know what they're supposed to do, we know what we're supposed to do, and we work together with them to follow these rules appropriately. Scott's here too, if you have
And
any questions.
unfortunately, we can't tell them no.
Correct. Correct.
Does that 858 need to be approved? I mean, that specific numbers that need to be
Yeah,
approved
you
by
can- yeah.
some other
You could,
agency, or, you know what I mean? Since it's all highly
Oh.
regulated?
no, I mean, it's the.
They trust us to do the math?
Right. And we had an engineering firm,
Yeah, okay.
like, because when this is a long time coming. I've been working with Highline on this for a while, and every time I thought I had it, I'm like, okay, here it is, and then I talk to Ray or somebody else, and it's like, nope, that's not it. I'm like, okay, sorry. And I've been going and working on this as someone who's never had poles and learning attachment, and so Ray's been helping me with this, and then I found this calculation of how to come up with the price, and I looked at that and thought I had to do all these calculations. I'm like, I have no idea. But apparently these calculations that are here are set. This is based on our plant and and that's how we come to the number.
Gotcha.
We just adjusted it for CPI when this was done in 2018.
Oh, so this latest one was 2018?
Yes.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
It's a
And so we got to
increase over 5 years.
Did we get a hold of AT&T to,
So we discussed AT&T. Yeah, we are going to be sending them something that this is the new rate and everything. And also our cable company, our cable department is on the electric poles. They too should be paying for the use of those poles. So to be fair, we'd be doing that as well. Even though they're part of this organization, they should also be,
It's getting the money in the right spots where it belongs, and,
so
yeah,
we're learning about.
accounting practices, yeah.
And Grant, I don't know if you have a good way for them to, I just have them to agree the agreement with Highline as presented. I don't know if that's, if you want them to put in the rate along with that, or anything specific. And there are some stuff in here we still have to fill in, but it doesn't change the agreement as a whole. It still outlines what's expected and required of each.
I think I got it.
Without adding a whole lot to it, I mean, it reiterating Dan's understanding of the requirements for the pole attachment agreements. It's the same understanding I have. I have this agreement as well. It's from the MMEA that was put out as I was chatting with Dan regarding the history of this. I recall when it came out, it was to all members, hey, this is the agreement you need to use across the state. And it provides uniformity, provides
consistency. And, you know, I've read through it. Some of the stuff, I would look over to our resident in-house electrical professionals for explanation of what some of it means. But basically, as Dan said, somebody is paying us to put things on our poles. And the calculation is done by I think it's all, there's a formula within the act. And it's beyond, I remember looking at it and kind of chuckling, and it's beyond my abilities. And I think Ray utilized an engineering firm a couple of years ago to do the calculations. So the calculations are what they are. The language is what the language is. There's a few little, I think there's a few little edits here and there, but it's generally the standard pole attachment agreement that I would suggest would be subject to approval.
Yeah, and Scott, Ray, and I had a good conversation with the engineering firm for Highline going over this. We'll be, meeting their engineers. We will be going out to physically inspect poles with them to determine their, condition, and then this again outlines who's responsible to do what if the conditions can't be met to add their, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't put the price because each year it changes, right, too?
If I remember correctly, there's an escalator.
It goes by
Just-
CPI each
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
We just loop that little sentence above it into the recommendation. I think that'd cover it.
Okay.
I'll
How many
make the motion.
attachments can we have on our poles?
Ultimately, as much room as we give them.
Yeah, that's
So-
part of our make
Yeah.
I
ready
mean,
investigation.
looking at it, it says that there's 13 feet available on a 36-foot pole, right? So that's what we're saying is we
Yeah,
can,
there's usable space now, so depending on what conductor it is, whatever they're putting up, will dictate how much room they use. So fiber optic being non-conductive, it can smash into a really small spot. You put coax up, because it has conductive properties, it takes up more room on the pole. So there's quite a bit that goes into it. But what this agreement does is, say down the road, someone else comes into town and wants to put up some kind of a conductor that's conductive, like cable. We don't have any room on our poles, but they insist that they've got to go on. We can charge them to replace the poles, to give them the room, to make the pole ready. That's the make ready portion of this. So it lays out specific roles for the utility and for the customer that's coming in, so it protects both parties. It really kind of, it makes it easy. If you're a utility coming in, you know exactly what to expect.
An interesting fact, it sounds like this whole agreement came about with the state through AT&T, who was pushing an agreement to which they currently are not abiding by for us. So we will be sending them a letter.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the pole attachment agreement for Highline at the current rate per pole of $8.58, and will increase each year by the CPI.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Wu?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Move on to budget workshop.
So it's that time. My original hope going into the new year was to be far ahead of the game, and of course, we're not. So what I'm looking for council here is just, I'd like to start looking at May and scheduling, 2 or 3 workshops. And we could do them during council meetings if you'd like. But we probably would need another 1 or 2 outside of that. So we've provided a meeting with kind of what our current schedule is as far as evening and daytime meetings, and whether you guys want to kind of go over what works best for you. But I would like to start getting at least 2 down today to meet.
Well, you can't do it during the day, Rico, right? Because you're still in school, so.
Not ideally.
We could do one on the 15th, as part of the council meeting, if you'd like to just May 1st, that first meeting in May might be tough just to get it on there, be ready, but if I could just make that part of that agenda to get one meeting, do something simple for that one.
For the month of May, that would help me the most if we piggybacked on the meetings. If we piggybacked on one of the. or
Yeah,
both of
I'd
the
say
existing
15th.
council. For the month of May,
Yeah,
and
for the
like
month of May.
Candy's saying, in June, July, I free up
Well,
a little bit
it's
more.
we're gonna have it approved in June.
Approved in June, okay,
Our budget starts July 1.
all right.
So my hope is,
Yeah, we gotta roll.
my hope is that between a couple workshops and the way we're trying to present this and what we hope to be an easier fashion for everybody, we won't have to, we're hoping May will maybe have a special meeting in May to have it approved before June. But if not, we do have June to do that.
Okay.
But I'll kind of
There ain't no
pencil
way we're gonna
in.
go through all that budget in that little bit of time. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's simple. Super duper.
That's what he's trying to streamline it.
But I'll put it, I'll do a
Okey-dokey.
little bit of budget on the 15th of May for that council meeting, if anyone has an objection to that. Or if you want, if everyone's at the 15th, so we're moving to 7 o'clock. If you guys would like to do the workshop at 6 that day and then go into the meeting.
I like having them separate from the meeting, but I don't care if you wanna do.
It would be separate, it would just be a longer day, because you're gonna, yeah, we'd have an hour workshop and then
think.
go into,
Wait, now let me think. What's the date tonight?
the 19th. I should probably look at my.
Kids, kids. Let's see. Yep, because I won't have the kids that day.
What day?
On, if that's okay with everybody else, 6
15th?
o'clock on the 15th? Is that okay with everybody?
That'll work for me.
Budget meeting.
Scott, you'll have about 4 makeup softball games by then.
Yeah, I honestly can't give you a yes or no on it.
Yeah.
Right, good. From 3:30 until 5, I'm at the school because I'm the one weight room supervisor, so that's a paid position. I'm also coaching the softball team, and my son is on the baseball team. So I can't really give a yes or no. I will make the games that are buds, and I'll miss games when it comes to the point, but I can't. So we'll have to go off of.
Well, anyone who, like, if you can't make a workshop, and you're available another day, we can sit down and kind of just go over what happened at that workshop and those budgets, just so you're in the loop.
And you don't know if you'll be able to tone or not either?
No, I'm looking at now at the 15th. Or the 15th. And it's home, so if we go at 6 and the 15th, I'll be able to know.
And we can
Well, that's
even-
our regular meeting too.
Not on Saturday.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's-
So
Okay.
we go at 6. I can do that.
Okay.
Do you want to try to fit one in sometime in the second week of May, 8th through the 12th?
What time are you at the school?
3:30 to 5. But when when we have games for softball, I try to get some take my position there and softball.
Because I can do earlier on Thursday. But you can't, hey Rico? You can't.
That week I'm in Lansing on the 10th and 11th.
Okay.
You want to zoom in?
Can we
Probably
still do
because I'll be
this?
spending most of my
We're not
time just in
voting on
a
anything.
car, traveling back and forth.
So
Yeah.
here's that. The 8th, 9th, 11th, 12th. So, it's,
Yeah. To me, pick a date,
Yeah.
whatever you guys want.
yeah.
Who can make it, fine, who can't.
But we have to have 3.
Yeah, right, and as long as we have 3, or, you know.
Grant,
Well,
do you need a quorum for our workshop?
There's no voting being done, right?
It's just a discussion, I don't know why you would.
I don't think so. I mean, I appreciate, you want a majority there, but it could be an impossibility.
Three-quarters of the time, we're gonna have a minimum of 3 people there.
Yeah,
Like I said, and I'll sit down with whoever's not there to go
Well, I
over
could
and
pull
everything.
Lee, you guys wanna come at 5 in the morning?
Actually, yeah,
I'm like,
that would be great.
no,
Do you wanna,
I'm at the gym at 4:45.
are you?
With that, yeah.
So Rika, you're gone the 11th, is that right?
10th and
what time
11th.
do you go to work, Brett?
I punch in at 4 AM.
So if we did, what, 3:30 in the morning?
Yeah, good.
Good to go.
I'll just sleep here.
Yeah, no, like I said, just pick a day, I mean, you can work around it and
Yeah.
Do you wanna, I know Rico can't do it, but do you wanna try the 11th? Assuming, Rico, that you can do the 15th.
Yeah, I'm good for the 15th.
Or the 4th. Or you,
Well, I was kind of trying to stay away from that first
oh,
week of May. We have the council meeting on Monday, and I'm hoping I get everything done before the first week of May with this budget.
oh, okay.
So we're about to spend some late nights.
And
Third.
Brett, what time are you done? What time are you available?
me? Whatever time.
2? Are you after
Wow, noon,
Noon, I guess 4, yeah.
noon. I mean, so if on the 11th, if you're free,
If anybody doesn't,
on the 11th, if that works, earlier in the day, at 1 o'clock or whatever.
I go to Evergreen, but I'm usually out by 1.
I mean, you're gonna be gone or
Yeah,
whatever.
do
but-
it. Yeah, there's,
Well, there's 3, we
Yeah.
have 3 right
And I'll send Mararo the days and times as well. So you want to do the 11th at 1, is that what we said?
11th at 1 PM and the
And
15th
Rico
at
will
6
zoom
PM.
in.
I'll not zoom in.
How about the 25th, Thursday the 25th? We have a Parks and Rec meeting Wednesday the 24th at 6:30, unless you want to meet in the daytime. Anything during the day is fine too. Like that 1 o'clock. How about the 25th, anybody?
Earlier again on that day.
So if we go on earlier again on that one, that's fine too.
Rico?
Just,
25th, what time's your
Give
lunch?
me- give me a time.
Yeah, right. He needs to be in the lunchroom.
Yeah. My lunch is watching people eat lunch.
Do you want to try 1 o'clock on the 25th, Thursday?
And Rico, if you can't get out to do that, we understand.
Thank you. Now that I might be able to zoom.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I'm happy with 3 right there.
Church.
I'm hoping
What was the date on that one?
The
I mean-
25th?
I mean, time, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1. 11th at 1, 15th at 6, 25th at 1.
You'd think we're gonna adopt it by June 1st, you're crazy.
No, probably not, but,
Can we get the remind the day before,
yeah.
Yes,
No.
Trish?
not an hour before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do those.
Taking shots at
I like it that morning, so then I don't forget.
Well, like if you and I want to sit down too, before these or other times to start, like, do you want to start working with us on it too?
Okay.
Whenever
If
you
we
have
get
time.
everyone on a Google
Okay.
Calendar.
That's
Or
fine.
like, or what we'll do, Natalie and I can kind of get a portion ready, and then we can sit down and just go over it with you.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
I forgot we were even in a meeting.
all right, is there a motion in there somewhere?
No, you don't need a motion.
I don't think so.
Listen to me. No, you don't need a motion. Mayor, council comments? Scott? Brett?
I have nothing, thank you.
None.
Quick update on how we're doing down at the hydro dam?
So the water's crested and it's
I see it's coming down.
Tonight is the first night we're not staffing the plant. Water is below the drains of the plant, so we're kind of out of the danger zone now. We are wide open. We're spilling as much water as we can get, but as far as the plant being in any kind of predicament, we're beyond that. We pumped a lot of water out of there. The water was very, very high. So we made it through.
Good.
Yeah, I saw on the state road today that it was, but you see trees that are supposed to be on the banks.
We flooded the state road. We were across the road. So yeah, second highest water since recorded since 1988. 2003 beat us by a little bit, but
That's what a guy from Wee or whatever it is now, he told me this is the second one on record, second highest on record they have.
well, Sturgeon set a record by a long shot. The Sturgeon River it actually maxed out the stream gauge and it stopped reading, it was too high. So it stopped reading at 3,700. The previous record was 3,000. And according to our calculations, we made a 4,400 river. So, yeah, we had a lot of water.
And we had all departments helping out down there.
And I can't thank them enough. We sent the request out for help and they stepped up and helped us in a big way. So thank you for that. And best wishes to Rick.
Yeah, and I want to thank, all the employees. That's what it's about. Sometimes we all got to help each other out to get through these times, and I think we got some great employees that are willing to do that. And I, as a council member, I really appreciate that. And best wishes to Rick too. You have anything?
I was just gonna, thank the staff too for their 24/7 and weekend monitoring those high waters. I do appreciate that, we all do. Just a random note, this past Monday was my official full 1 year here. Went by very fast. It's been really good so far. Appreciate all of your support and staff support, and except for Rico's. And we will continue to move forward. And yeah, we're just happy that we're here and things are moving.
Anything, Ron?
Spring Classic this weekend, isn't it?
Yep.
I will be running the 5K.
I will not be running the 5K.
I asked Grant.
I wanted to
He
make
said
sure to
no.
announce for the public. Spring Classic this weekend, big event. Everybody be safe, please. That's all I have.
Brock, did you have anything?
No, thanks.
Trish? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.